In 2020, my siblings and I combined our stimulus checks and bought a car.
Yeah, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
The Treppers own, manage, and maintain 20 plus doors. Given the game by our dad, he taught us generational knowledge creates generational wealth.
Learn with us the do's and don'ts of real estate and property management.
You've been to the Bando. Now, let us introduce you to the Trep.
Welcome to season 2 of Trep Out the Bando.
Welcome back to all my DIYers, weekend warriors, backyardigans, and of course, my Treppers. If you saw the earlier vlog where I got a survey of my property, you already knew what was coming next: land clearing. So in this vlog, we're going to take the backyard from this to this. I already cleared a lot of small bushes with the loppers and lawnmower. Now I'm going around cutting down the thicker trees.
And I think it's good to have a natural barrier to some extent. So a few of these trees in the back might stay.
Once they were all on the ground, I took the loppers and chainsaw and cut all the small branches off and piled them up. I stacked the tree trunks separately because I knew I'd be using them as a barrier for my burn piles. I made 2 large burn piles to avoid having to dice up the limbs into smaller pieces.
Janie! Get your butt back over here. You're not supposed to be over there. You're too far. You in somebody else's yard. You're in somebody else's yard.
From there, I started burning small dry material along with boxes, mail, and other papers. This process took days, and I wanted my dogs to be able to use the yard comfortably. The fire jumped out of the burn barrel multiple times. Both times, I allowed it to do its damage because ultimately, I needed everything gone anyway.
This tree right here is within my property line, completely dry rotted. Termites had their day with it. I want to see if I can just straight drop, push this down.
Pushing the tree over was easy. The base of it was totally rotted, and cutting it was also really easy. For as thick as it was extremely lightweight, dry, and the perfect starter wood because the termites put so many holes in it.
Excellent burn wood. It went up perfectly.
I allowed the larger piles to dry out until the season changed.
Now, it's been about 3 or 4 months, and I'm actually going to try to burn at least one of them today. Let's put this boy on full. How do we like that? Not bad. Versus jet. Okay, jet seems to provide a little bit more distance. Step 1 is to burn these, stump out everything we need, and then prepare it for a gravel base and to sit a carport on here.
My plan was to turn this plywood into a fire shield, but I just burned it in the fire instead.
I just got a little bit of paper in my hands. I'm just gonna sit it in here for now. Okay.
And so burn pile 1 had finally begun after months of waiting for it to dry out. I kept a close eye on it.
It's still a pretty big fire, and you can still feel the heat from it. I'm pretty pleased. Y'all can see that barrier that we built months ago did provide a decent control factor for the burn. I was able to monitor the perimeter and just keep it wet wherever I saw anything trying to just partially escape. Luckily, it got tolerable. The wind did pick up and the flames did change direction a few times. It looks like our little tree over there is gonna survive, even though it did get a few leaves scorched.
And now that the first pile was concluding, I switched my attention to the next one. I was lucky enough to find a plastic trunk liner that was lightweight, perfect to use as a fire shield. And with that, I went ahead and lit the second burn pile.
Y'all can see how much the flames are just blowing the leaves. It's not burning, well, it is burning them because that's definitely hot air, but it's not like cooking them and incinerating them. Fire number 2, relatively controlled on its own, but I need to get over on this side and tame it a little bit. I'm using the fire shield now, which it does help tremendously. I can get much closer when I'm using it. Not much to do now, but just monitor them. Make sure nothing burns outside of their respective areas. As y'all see, got me a new hat to kind of deal with this sun. Back there, you can see my chair that I've just been hanging out, kind of keeping an eye on the fire. This one has been burning for about an hour and a half. And as y'all can see, this barrier was clearly heavily fortified to where it hasn't even really worn down at all. I did take all of these larger branches and trunks that you see in here now came from the perimeter of the other burn area, which has clearly burnt down to the ground. There's still a few logs in here that are retaining heat.
I concluded the day with putting out the flames.
Of course, I wanted this to burn down to the ground, but this is what it looks like when your fire barrier just works too good. Janie's showing y'all the recent burn area and how flat it is and on the ground. Looks great. And this one, haven't really done much to it. And today we're gonna focus on stump out. So got 7 stumps right here that I'm gonna be working on today.
You know what they say, you make plans and God laughs. I thought I was going to be pulling stumps today using my chains, snatch blocks, and pulleys, but I was clearly wrong. I spent a lot of time digging and rigging, cranking and yanking, but nothing was working. I wasted the majority of the day.
It is the next day. Yesterday was an epic fail. I'm disappointed in the fact that I was not able to even pull one stump. It's time to pull out the big guns. And I'm pretty sure y'all already know what that is. Yep. Had to go ahead and rent the stump grinder. This bad boy, I believe, is a 13 horsepower from Home Depot, 190 for 24 hours. And they said that the stumps should be about 6 months old minimum if you're going to use one of these puppies, but I think mine are about 4. So they said that when the stump isn't necessarily ready, it could just bounce a lot.
I started with the grinder, and this was proving to be another fail on the horizon. It took a long time to see progress on this one stump, and at the time I had about 7 or more to do. I was hoping 4 months would be long enough since the stumps aren't that wide, but I was wrong again, Morasoka. So I went back to the basics. I decided to just cut them flush to the ground. Giving the chainsaw a bit of a break, I continued to experiment with the grinder. Here you can see how fibrous the stumps are when they're not dry enough to chip up.
Unfortunately, It's just not worth it. Not right now. I seem to have wasted more money renting a tool that is going to be ineffective. It does fine on a small stump, but I didn't need help with the small stumps. I needed help with stumps that are roughly 8, 10, and 12 inches in diameter and up. I think I just rented it too early. These stumps have not dried out whatsoever. So that was a big mistake. Man, it sucks to have wasted this much money just to resort to a tool that I already had in my garage, my chainsaw, cutting it flush to the ground and at least removing it as a trip hazard, and hopefully with gravel on top, maybe 3 or 4 inches of gravel, everything will just work itself out.
Moving on and trying to salvage the day, I decided to break down the second burn area and prepare to flush everything to the ground.
I gotta admit, today was a rough day. At this point, you can see that the majority of the stumps have been cut level to the ground, and I believe it's actually gonna be enough.
Now, I may not have said it yet, but of course I have a reason and a purpose for clearing this land. In the upcoming vlog, I will officially break ground on the installation of the future structure that will occupy some of the newfound space I've created in this backyard. If you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. You are truly a real trepper. See you in the next one.
This is what everything looks like. Oh, Janie taking the deuce. Janie, you on YouTube, bruh. Come on, man.